Hello, welcome to the RegX 3.5 video release notes. Version 3.5 has three major features, obviously real-time text calculation, email invoice overrides, and we made a few changes to the color palettes. Let's take a look first. Here's the home screen, and you can see it's kind of blue with a little touch of gold, but there's no functional changes to the home screen. All the same buttons do all of the same things. The color palette's also carried through to our search pages, where we've changed from light letters on dark background to dark letters on a light background. Much easier to see, so all the search pages are like that. Let's take a look at the order page itself, and you'll see that there's the change where we've now bringing in the user's email address and putting it right on the screen, and also giving you a place now to type in the confirmation email and invoice email, or select print if you don't want to do the default print invoice. However, the default is to do an invoice email confirmation. And the last preview before we get started with actually doing an order is just to take a look at the IMIS page for the customer, and we notice that there is an invoice email tab now, and that's where when we enter our overrides, they will go into this spot. Okay, now let's take a look at an order, and let's see tax in action and updating the invoices, the email addresses for invoice and confirmation as well. I've already selected my attendee, and we'll leave the ship to as the same. Now we'll get a meeting, and we'll just take 2218 and say go. And we'll take this very first one in Saranac Lake that's pretty sure to produce a tax for us. Now, the meeting is priced. There is no tax yet because the tax gets calculated when you submit the order. And here we see that we have the SSP discount and the SSP payments, and no balance due as of this point. Now let's take a look down here at the administration section. Notice that the email confirmation method is already set. That's a default. It's automatically set to email. If you want something else, you have to choose it. And we'll fill in the order source, and we'll fill in the how heard. Now, to update the invoice email or the confirmation email, notice too that when we brought in the attendee and the bill to, that we brought in that person's email address with it. If we want to override it, we can put it here. Please note that anytime you do an email override, it only applies to the current order or invoice. And that's for the confirmation email, which would go to the attendee. The invoice email, of course, would go to the bill to. There's a couple of checks and balances in here that I want to show you. One is to make sure that the email address is formatted correctly. So if we do something like this, which is terribly wrong, but you'll get the idea, and then we try to submit that order, the system will stop and tell us that one or both override emails have an invalid format, and we have to fix those up. The other item is that you can't check both the print box and put in an override email at the same time. The system will also look at that. Let's try to submit that. And it'll tell you remove the override emails or uncheck the print mailbox. It's one or the other. It's either print everything or email everything. So let's take that out for now. Now we're ready to actually go ahead and submit our order. And we'll do that, and let's count how long it takes to get the tax calculated. Not very long at all, pretty good. So we now have a tax calculated of $87.26, and notice that that becomes the balance due, $87.26. That's it for the order. Now, let's go see what this looks like in IMIS. All right, now we've moved over to IMIS, and we pulled up this attendee's record in IMIS, and this is Brian Bargman, the person that we just did the SSP order for. And what I want to show you is that here in this new tab, the AMA invoice email, we've inserted in here automatically by RegX the overrides that we put in to the order. Remember, it was be.smith that we wanted the override to go to. And let's just widen this out and see what this is. That's the confirmation, which would go to the attendee. And over here, we can see it's invoice. And print invoice, no, we don't want it to print invoice. Now, just to be clear, we did an order for him earlier, and that's that one up there. So there's two invoices. See the two different invoice numbers. Events, here's the record that we just did for him, Fundamentals of Finance, 428. And this is a previous one that we did for him when we were rehearsing this. Let's just take a quick look over Reg Detail. And in Reg Detail, we just did for him, where we had the how did you hear was member. So just to let you know that this populates all that stuff immediately. Well, suppose that we got the email wrong. You can change that. You can edit it here, and it's not supposed to be B.E. Smith. We made a mistake, and it's just supposed to be B.Smith, and we can do that, and then say, yes, that's okay. So we've made that change. When the invoice does get printed tonight, it will get emailed to b.smith@abc.com. So that's it for the changes here in IMIS. We can see that RegX put the order in, put the overrides in as desired, and we can update and edit those overrides if we want to. Next, let's go take a look at EasyReg and see how that handles the email overrides. All right, now we're in EasyReg, and we've started an new registration for our same attendee, Brian. And I've filled in most of the order to save time. Notice a couple of things. First of all, that the confirmation also defaults to email now in EasyReg. That's the standard all the way across. And because it does default to email, there's no need for any special instructions that say, please save and email later, or send it back to me, send me the invoice. Anything like that at all is not needed, because it will automatically be emailed. If it's not to be emailed, then this has to change. And you have your standard choices as before. Note now that here in EasyReg, we brought in the attendee's email address for confirmation, for site confirmation by you. If you need to override that, here's where you do it. There's this new slots for override confirmation email and override invoice email, and of course our friend the print check button. All you do is type in, just as before, the confirmation change will have none on the invoice. And beware also that EasyReg will do the same kind of checking, logic checking if you want to call it, as RegX. That is, if this is selected as email, we must have an email address. If this is not, if this is selected as mail, then these email addresses have to come out, and you have to select the print button. Those two things have to be done. So remember, print button with mail or email, uncheck the print button, and put in your address. Once you have your order set, then you just process the registration as normal. Thank you very much. Okay, now just to finish up, we're back to IMIS again with our friend Brian, and just taking a quick look Notice that we now have the 4 orders for him, the ones that we did, and this time we gave it to Brian. Brian DeLacy, not the other Brian. This was not an SSP order. We did that in EasyReg, and of course you can't get the SSP discount on there automatically like that. Here's the other item that we had. Which one was it? 42854, collaborative leadership skills for manager. And just the email invoice override. There it was, b.smith@abc.com. And again, of course, we can change that override, add other overrides if we want. That's it. Just want to let you know that RegX and both RegX and EasyReg feed the invoice email just as it does Reg Detail. Yes, I want to save that change just as it does the Reg Detail and the events.